A stolen identity, a framed sister, and a truth too dark to face. The shocking betrayal that nearly destroyed her life. The rain hit the glass in rhythmic taps, a hypnotic, relentless drumming that should have been soothing. But inside the cold gray walls of the HR office, Olivia Carter felt like she was suffocating. The air in the room was thick, not just with the weight of the accusations against her, but with something deeper. Something unspoken. "Olivia, we have to take these allegations seriously." The voice of Jonathan Reed, the company's HR director, was calm but firm. He folded his hands atop the thick manila folder on his desk, the folder with her name on it. Olivia's stomach twisted. "This is a mistake," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "I would never." "You've been with us for 7 years," Jonathan continued, as if she hadn't spoken. "You have an exemplary record. But financial discrepancies like this aren't taken lightly." Her hands clenched on her lap beneath the table. She could feel the weight of the other 2 people in the room. Lisa from compliance, avoiding eye contact, and Michael Carter, the company's CFO and, once upon a time, her closest ally. Her own brother. Or at least, one of them. Michael sat stiffly, his jaw tight. Olivia could still see the boy he used to be, the one who always protected her, the one who had stood by her side when their youngest brother, Ethan, had died 2 years ago. But now, there was only distance in his eyes. "Michael, you know me," Olivia pleaded, her voice raw with disbelief. "You know I wouldn't steal from this company." Michael exhaled slowly, rubbing his temple. "The numbers don't lie, Liv." Neither did his cold tone. The weight of betrayal pressed against her ribs, but Olivia refused to buckle. Something wasn't right. Someone wanted her gone. She had felt it for weeks now. Strange glances in the hallways, hushed conversations that stopped the moment she entered a room. She had chalked it up to paranoia, maybe even residual grief from losing Ethan. But now, with this accusation hanging over her like a noose, she realized it had all been leading up to this moment. Lisa finally spoke, her voice hesitant. "There's an internal audit, Olivia. It's been going on for 3 months. Large sums of money were funneled out of corporate accounts, small amounts at first, but then growing. And all the transactions lead back to your authorization." Olivia shook her head. No, that's impossible. I never authorized anything like that. Who else has access to my credentials?" Lisa's lips pressed into a thin line. "That's what we're trying to determine. But the system logs show your login details. Your personal key card access was used to approve multiple transfers. It looks like over $200,000 is missing." The number hit Olivia like a slap. She felt lightheaded, as if the ground beneath her had shifted. This wasn't a simple misunderstanding. Someone had gone to great lengths to make her look guilty. Jonathan leaned forward. "Olivia, if there's something you want to tell us, now is the time. We're not law enforcement. But if we take this to the board, they'll have no choice but to escalate it to the authorities." Olivia's breath came in short, rapid bursts. "You're talking like I'm guilty. I swear to you, I had nothing to do with this. Someone else must have used my credentials. Have you checked the IT logs? There are ways to see if a login was spoofed." Michael cut her off. "You think we didn't check? IT ran a full scan. The access came from your office, from your device, using your password. No signs of a breach." His words were final. A death sentence. Olivia stared at him, willing him to see reason, to see her. But he was already looking away, as if she were a stranger. The walls of the office felt like they were closing in. She needed air. She needed to think. Jonathan sighed. "For now, you're suspended, effective immediately. You'll be placed on administrative leave while the investigation continues. We'll notify you of any developments." Lisa pushed a stack of papers toward Olivia. "You need to sign these." Her hands trembled as she reached for the pen, her mind racing. If she left now, if she walked out that door without fighting back, this would only get worse. She couldn't afford to let whoever was behind this win. She hesitated, looking up at Michael one last time. "You really believe I did this?" His eyes flickered, something unreadable behind them. But then he nodded, just once. Something inside Olivia shattered. She scrawled her signature across the forms, then rose on unsteady legs. Without another word, she turned and walked out. The hallway was eerily quiet as she stepped into it. Co-workers who had once greeted her with warmth now averted their gazes. The rumors had already spread. By the time she reached the elevator, her heart was pounding with something sharper than fear. Determination. Someone had set her up. And she was going to find out who. Would you like me to continue expanding further, adding more depth, interactions, and internal monologue? The night was thick with silence when Olivia Carter stepped out into the parking lot, the cold air biting against her skin. The weight of the accusation still clung to her like a second skin, suffocating, pressing down on her shoulders as she fumbled for her keys. She needed to get home, needed to think. Her hands shook as she unlocked her car. The interior was cold when she slid inside, and for a moment, she just sat there, gripping the steering wheel, staring out into the darkness. Suspended. The word echoed in her head. 7 years of dedication, of long hours, of giving her life to that company. Gone in an instant. And the worst part wasn't even the accusation itself. It was Michael. Her own brother had sat there and let them throw her to the wolves. She exhaled sharply, shoving the thought away. She couldn't afford to fall apart. Not now. Someone had set her up, and if she didn't figure out who, she'd be in a jail cell before the month was over. The question was, where did she even start? She pulled out her phone, scrolling through her emails. There had to be something, anything, that would help her understand what was happening. Her inbox was flooded with automated company messages, meeting reminders she no longer needed, and a single new email from an anonymous sender. Subject: "They're watching." Her pulse jumped. She hesitated before tapping it open. "You don't know me, but I know what's happening to you. You're not the first. They've done this before. If you want to know the truth, meet me tomorrow night. Downtown. Corner of 8th and Bellevue. 9 p.m. Come alone. No name. No contact information. Nothing to tell her who had sent it." Her throat tightened. Was this a trap? A sick joke? Or was it the only real lead she had? She read the message again, her mind working through the possibilities. The phrasing, "you're not the first." Did that mean someone else had been framed before her? If so, who? And why? The sound of approaching footsteps broke her thoughts. Olivia's head snapped up, eyes scanning the parking lot. It was nearly empty, just rows of dark vehicles reflecting the pale glow of the streetlights. But there, past the last row of cars, a shadow moved. She wasn't alone. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears as she fumbled for the ignition. The engine roared to life, and in the glow of her headlights, she saw it, someone standing at the far end of the lot. Watching her. A tall figure, dressed in dark clothes, face obscured by the hood of a jacket. Olivia didn't wait. She threw the car into reverse, tires screeching as she backed out. The figure didn't move, didn't react. Just stood there, waiting. She slammed the gear into drive and sped off, her pulse racing. Whoever they were, they wanted her to know they were there. And that meant this was far from over. By the time Olivia reached her apartment, exhaustion was settling deep into her bones. She locked the door behind her, double-checking it before tossing her bag onto the kitchen counter. Her mind was still spinning as she paced the small living room. She needed answers, and she needed them fast. If someone inside the company had framed her, then they had access to her credentials. That meant they were close. And if they were watching her, that meant they knew she wasn't going to roll over and accept this. She grabbed her laptop, sinking onto the couch as she opened it. If she was going to prove her innocence, she had to start somewhere. She pulled up her work emails again, scanning for anything out of place. The financial records were off-limits to her now that she was suspended, but maybe there was something in her past correspondence. An email she hadn't noticed, a request that didn't make sense. Her fingers flew over the keyboard, searching for anything unusual. And then she found it. An email from 3 weeks ago. One she didn't remember sending. From Olivia Carter. To Marcus Reynolds, Head of Accounts. Subject: Urgent Fund Transfer Approval. Marcus, please process the attached request immediately. This is a time-sensitive matter, and I'll handle the documentation later. Use my credentials if necessary. Do not delay. Olivia's stomach dropped. She hadn't sent this. Her eyes darted to the timestamp, 10:42 p.m. She had been at home that night. Alone. Nowhere near her office. Her heart pounded as she checked the sent location. The system tracked where emails were sent from, and this one had come from her office computer. It didn't make sense. Unless someone had been in her office that night. Someone who had used her computer to send the email. Her mind raced through possibilities. The office was locked at night. Security had to scan employees in and out after hours. If someone had accessed her computer, they would have needed a keycard, which meant there was a record. Olivia's pulse quickened. She needed that security log. But how the hell was she going to get it? The next day, Olivia found herself standing outside Carter & Pierce's corporate office, her hood pulled up to shield her face from the light drizzle. She wasn't supposed to be here. Technically, she was on administrative leave, meaning she had no reason to step foot inside. But she wasn't here as an employee. She was here to uncover the truth. Taking a deep breath, she slipped inside, weaving her way through the lobby. The front desk was manned by a young receptionist, but Olivia kept her head down, walking with purpose. She knew where she had to go. The security office was on the lower level, a small, windowless room with monitors lining the walls. Getting in wouldn't be easy. She hesitated outside the door, her heart pounding. She could hear muffled voices inside. Then the door opened. A security guard stepped out, distracted, tapping on his phone as he walked past her without a glance. Olivia caught the door just before it closed, slipping inside before anyone could notice. The room was empty. She exhaled, moving fast. The security logs were stored digitally. She scanned the screens, searching for recent access records. Then she found it. Her office. The night the email had been sent. One name stood out. A name that made her blood run cold. Michael Carter. Her own brother had accessed her office that night. Her own brother had used her credentials. She staggered back, her mind screaming in protest. No, it couldn't be. But the proof was right in front of her. Her own brother had framed her. And she had no idea why. Olivia stood frozen in the dim glow of the security monitors, her pulse hammering in her ears. The reality of what she was seeing felt like a blade pressing against her throat, sharp, cold, undeniable. Michael. Her own brother had accessed her office the night of the fraudulent transfer. The weight of the betrayal crashed into her, a tidal wave of emotions too tangled to separate. Anger, confusion, heartbreak. She took a step back, gripping the edge of the desk to steady herself. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a coincidence. The digital logs didn't lie. Michael had done this. But why? Her mind raced. He had sat in the conference room, silent while she was accused. Had he known she would take the fall? Had he planned it that way? The questions battered against her skull, but she didn't have the luxury of breaking down. Not yet. If she was going to clear her name, she needed more than access logs. She needed proof, solid, undeniable evidence that Michael had framed her. And there was only one place she could get it. His office. The executive floor was nearly empty by the time Olivia reached it, the hush of late evening settling over the polished glass and steel. Michael's office was at the far end of the corridor, past a row of private conference rooms. She kept her steps light, her breath shallow as she approached his door. It was locked, as she expected. But Olivia had worked here long enough to know the cleaning crew kept a universal access card for emergencies. She turned, heading toward the supply closet down the hall. The janitorial keycard was tucked behind a shelf, exactly where she remembered. With a deep breath, she returned to Michael's door and swiped the card. The lock clicked open. Stepping inside, she closed the door behind her, exhaling slowly. The office was immaculate, too perfect, as if he had nothing to hide. But Olivia knew better. She moved quickly, scanning his desk, his shelves. Nothing seemed out of place. But then she noticed his computer, the screen dark, the power light blinking faintly. She slid into his chair, fingers flying across the keyboard. The system required a password, but she knew Michael. He was smart, but not cautious. Her first guess, his birthday, failed. Her second guess, his wife's name, failed. Her third, Ethan 2023. The login screen vanished. Her stomach twisted. Ethan. Their brother. Gone almost a year now. Why would Michael use his name as a password? She pushed the thought aside and focused. If he had framed her, there had to be something. An email, a document, anything that connected him to the fraud. Her eyes darted across the folders, searching. Then she saw it. A file labeled, Transfers, Private. She clicked it open, scanning quickly. And there it was. A series of transactions, large amounts being funneled through shell accounts, hidden beneath layers of corporate jargon. The amounts matched the fraudulent transfer she had been accused of authorizing. But the real shock came at the bottom of the file. A recipient. The money had gone to a private account. An account under the name Ethan Carter. Olivia's breath caught in her throat. Ethan was dead. But the account was still active. Her hands shook as she copied the files onto a flash drive, her mind spinning. Someone had been using Ethan's identity, keeping it alive to funnel money. And Michael was behind it. She had enough proof now. Enough to expose him. But she needed to hear it from him. She needed to know why. Michael looked up in surprise as Olivia walked into the dimly lit bar. He was alone, a half-empty glass in front of him, his tie loosened. "Liv," he said, straightening. "You shouldn't be here." She slid into the seat across from him, placing the flash drive on the table between them. "I know what you did." He stilled, his jaw tightening. "I don't know what you're talking about." She leaned in. "The transfers. The shell accounts. Using Ethan's name." She watched his face closely, searching for a flicker of remorse. "Tell me why, Michael." For a moment, he didn't speak. Then he let out a slow breath, rubbing his face with one hand. "I didn't have a choice," he muttered. "There's always a choice," she shot back. He laughed bitterly. "Not for me. Not after what happened to Ethan." Olivia's stomach twisted. "This isn't about Ethan." "Isn't it?" Michael snapped, his eyes flashing. "Do you even know why he died, Liv? Do you know what he was involved in?" She stared at him, caught off guard. He overdosed. That's what we were told." Michael shook his head. "That's what they wanted us to believe." Her breath caught. "What are you talking about?" He ran a hand through his hair, looking away. Ethan was in trouble. He owed money. A lot of it. I tried to help him, but it was too late. He was being used, Liv. Someone was moving money through him. And when he became a liability, they got rid of him. Her heart pounded. "Who?" Michael exhaled. "The same people who came after me when I started digging. They said if I didn't cooperate, they'd make sure I ended up like him. So I did what I had to do. I funneled money for them, just enough to keep them off my back. I thought I could control it. But then they needed someone to take the fall, and..." He looked up at her, his expression hollow. "You were the perfect choice." Olivia's hands curled into fists. "You let them destroy my career. You let them ruin my name. Michael swallowed hard. "I thought if I could just buy some time, I could fix it. But it spiraled out of control." Her throat burned. "You should have told me." His eyes were filled with something close to regret. "Would you have forgiven me?" Silence stretched between them. Then Olivia stood. "I'm done covering for you," she said quietly. "You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." Michael's face fell, realization dawning. "Olivia!" She turned and walked away. The fallout was swift. Within days, the evidence she handed over to the authorities led to Michael's arrest. The company distanced itself from him, his name erased from their records as the investigation unraveled the full scope of his crimes. Olivia's suspension was lifted, her reputation restored, but the damage ran deeper than her career. Her family was broken. She stood at the cemetery weeks later, staring at Ethan's gravestone. So much had been lost: his life, their bond, the trust she once had in Michael. A cool breeze brushed past her, carrying the scent of damp earth. She closed her eyes, letting it wash over her. She had spent years believing family was unbreakable, that no matter what, blood would always mean something. But sometimes, the people closest to you were the ones who could hurt you the most. And sometimes, walking away wasn't betrayal. It was survival.